Inshallah and Ashe, my energetic beings, and having a little glitch on this fantastic Friday. I do have a special guest here. You can see my friend Csongor, Daniel. He is actually a bioengineer turned into a healer, an energy healer. He was actually one of my Season of the Witches interviews last year. I do have the link if you want to tune into that episode in the show notes. So, welcome to the show today. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me. Doing great as always.
Yeah, we had
Aside
a
from some
little,
technical glitches, right?
yeah, a few camera glitches happened for us today. But either way, we have arrived at the 333 here in Salt Lake City, Utah, numerology there. So, do you want to give us some insight into your adventures this summer?
Well, I mean, I had an amazing summer. I tried to make all of them as amazing or close to it. Um, I teach every summer in Europe. I try to do at least a week. A few times that worked out really great was in the Alps, and it happened this summer as well.
Can you
Um,
expand a little
as some
bit
of
on
you
what you
already
were
know,
teaching?
I'm sorry.
I said, can you expand a little bit on what you were teaching?
Yes. So as I have been doing it for some 35 years, and quite a lot of that I have been teaching it. And lately, I have been putting more and more energy into teaching others how to become healers. This is one of the most comprehensive and probably one of the best energy healing methods that is out today. Um, and most of my life, I was considered gifted in the old country in Yugoslavia. I was one of a few officially recognized healers. But throughout the years, I realized that everybody has this energy. You know, without it, you would be dead. So just like anybody can learn to play the basketball or ride a bicycle, you can also learn to heal. Now, some become, better healers than others, but everybody has the ability to heal themselves and each other. As a matter of fact, the more you work on others, the better the energy moves through your body, preventing the formation of blockages, thus keeping you healthy. It has worked for me for over 35 years now. The last time I went to the doctor was in 1988 or 89. My memory is fading in that direction, but it's been a very long time. COVID came and went. I didn't feel any of it. My partner had it for, well, basically a day of suffering, but um, for as long as she was positive, we slept together, we ate together, we did everything together, and even that didn't bother me. So about the last time I had a cold was in 1989, I think. I've broken, my leg. I've done crazy things, but as far as just the immune system and general health, it's
Uh, You froze a
so I'm
little
I'm
bit.
trying to offer that through my teachings, both through the energy healing itself. I mean, I could teach anybody to feel and to see the energy within minutes, but to become a healer, it takes some experience. And what I try to do in my teachings is to get these 35 years of experience into a very short amount of time, such as my book, which you can read in a day and become a healer. Um, but in essence, the live seminars are always the most popular. I do have some online school as well where you can learn it through video lessons. However, the live thing is the real thing, and I have the luck of having a friend who owns a hotel high in the Alps, which is very popular in the wintertime, but in the summertime, it sits empty, and I get to use it and take my students there. and have the most amazing seminar ever. We're up at 2 kilometers high in the Alps, breathing fresh air every day, starting with some Tai Chi and breathing exercises, then learning basic energy healing, then continuing in the afternoon after a long lunch so we can take the ski lift, to the top, look around, maybe some meditation up in nature. It's just so different, so amazing. Even if you just start with the colors, the greens and the blues that live there, you know, and all the cows that you hear in the distance. And they're literally like dogs. When you come up to them, you can pet them. They will come up, push you around. The
Nice.
area is already very energizing and very cleansing. Plus, we had a private chef to create, some healthy foods. And, by the third day, you're ready to run up the mountain like a goat. That's how much energy you experience there. And of course, by the end of the week, you become a healer. You learn how to work on others and yourself. And we
Nice.
try to do this as often as possible. I've taught in Berlin, in Budapest, in Bucharest, in Scotland, in Denmark, all over the place. And I try to manage my summer vacations according to the seminars. So it's vacation before and vacation after. And especially this time we traveled again on motorcycle. So we have a whole route of vacation to the seminar, and then after the seminar, another vacation.
Amazing. So, Nasika, did I say that properly? Don't mind me. Do you have a question that you'd like to ask? If so, just chat it up in the comment there. But be sure to check out our interview as well. You can also connect with Csongor on his website and ask him questions. He does do these seminars, what, all summer long? Is that predominantly what you do?
Well, not all summer, but we're in Florida, and I try to run away in July and August when it's the most humid. And Europe is usually dry heat, although last few summers have been very, very hot there. But in the Alps, you don't care. It's always pleasant.
How many
This
people
is
how many people are
uh,
generally
I
in your retreats?
so I try to do small groups, kind of like the old ways of teaching, where we sit together, eat together, and do the entire teaching all day long. So even in break time, we're conversing about the subject. So you learn a lot of things, besides feeling and seeing the energy. You learn to manipulate, take off excess energy, stop pain. You learn to use dowsing tools, a little pendulum to find other additional negative areas and such. And like a helping tool, connection to basically your subconscious or the other side, whichever you decide. Um, I've had bigger groups in Bucharest. Once I had 40 people in the class, which is also fun, but it's not as direct as this. So these mountain retreats are the real thing. It's like an accelerated method of teaching. And the meditation is on a totally different level, the whole breathing and such.
So, what all does this include in your retreats besides the training? Like, I'm sure it's lodge, all the things, because you said
Well,
food. It's
every
like,
morning, every morning you learn basically energy accelerating exercises such as qigong, and we repeat the same thing until you remember it. So once you're done with that 1 week, you already have a system for the morning. I also have a shorter morning routine that only takes 5 minutes, but it moves every muscle, every joint. It moves your energy, moves your spine. It's also on my website, easy to find. I recommend it to everybody. Something I've been doing for about 30 years now. Ever since the last time I pulled my back, I have continued doing the same. So it prevents any type of injuries for the rest of the day, or at
Nice.
least not the crazy ones, you know.
At least not the crazy ones. So for this is Csongor Daniel. If you don't know, I every year I generally do a podcast, and every year I have a season or a theme for the year. Last year was the season of the witches, and Csongor was actually one of my interviewers. He's actually a bioengineer that's turned into a energy healer. And also, if you don't know, my son had was diagnosed with a very rare lung cancer and was told he to get all his shift together because he was no longer going to be on the planet. And in my corridor, working as a mystic, a shaman, and a healer, I did what I do organically, and I called in Csongor to assist me in that. To assist me in healing my son, which is he's doing fantastic now. His the cancer was everywhere, literally his entire body lit up. And so yeah, November was a very trying season for myself. And yeah, so I called in Conger and a few other ritualistic, I'll say, shamans to assist with his healing. And he continues to send him scalar waves, energy healing, and do vital energetic check ins as well. So, yeah, Tom, this is who Csongor is hiding there. We did have an energetic hiccup before we started. So, we got started a little late today. The camera situation was giving us, yeah, a little malfunction there, but we figured it out and rolled with it. So, if you have
There
any
must be some
questions,
things in retrograde as always, so
oh, you
nothing
know
to
what?
it.
It may have been
One thing
retrograde
doesn't
last
work, another
time,
one will.
actually.
Everything in essence is Zen. I always had a belief that everything has something positive in it. So things happen for a reason, obviously, whether it's, divine reason or a physical, logical reason, things happen for a reason. Everything has something positive in it. Whether you look at the quantum physical model of positive and negative particles, or you look at the yin and yang, but there's something positive in it, even in the worst situations. And I used to look for those until I found them. And, it solidified my belief. But at one point, I stopped looking for it because I knew it was there. And so everything became kind of Zen. I just look at the positive things ever since. But, who knows why this happened, or who knows why that happened. If you didn't make it on time to work, maybe a truck would have hit you on the corner. So there are all these possibilities. So you just go with the flow, and there are no problems. Everything that we experience today, all the illness, all the problems, all the depression, everything comes from stress. And you can classify stress in many different ways, but it's basically stress. And so if you break down things to why we have those, and you get down to the energetic level, everything is fixable very easily. Nothing happens just poof out of thin air, right? We get to that point somehow, either through toxic foods or toxic thoughts, but eventually we get overloaded with them, and problems happen. Yet the solutions are really very simple, and they're always around us.
So,
First of all, positive thinking. You have to get rid of that stress. Stress is only in your mind. Stress doesn't knock on your door. Stress, is just an event that we perceive as such. So if it rains, you can look at it as a negative event. You can't go play golf and whatnot. You can't go outside, and and be upset about it. Or you can look at it and like, oh, this is great, for my flowers, for my plants, for whatnot. So two totally different viewpoints on the same thing. But the main thing is you haven't changed the weather, whichever way you thought. So might as well think, the happy thoughts and go with that flow. That's definitely number one. I mean, if your mind is okay, your body can be okay. That's where everything starts. Then comes the simple physics. We hear about salt all the time, how bad it is for us. Yet the word salt comes from salary. That's how they used to pay soldiers with bags of salt, because it was like money. Without salt, you're dead. They give the soldiers in the desert salt pills because they sweat out their salt. We also do the same thing. As as you sweat, you're losing salt. When you urinate, you're losing salt. When you breathe, you're losing salt all the time. Salt is the most important electrolyte in your body. Now, there are many different salts. So it's very important to know that I'm talking about sodium chloride, NaCl. If salt has more than 97% of NaCl, it's a healthy salt. If it has below, it's not a healthy salt. That's the very simplest rule of salts. So your most important electrolyte, NaCl. It's funny that when you drink these energy drinks, they have all these other electrolytes, but not salt. Little rundown on this. So 97%, why? Because you don't want more than 3% of potassium chloride. Potassium chloride, too much of it can be harmful. So some salts have way too much of it. By the time you lose 2% of potassium chloride in your cell, you lost about 60% of sodium chloride. So there's the ratio. In essence, if you consume this salt, you're constantly hydrated as well because your body holds on to the water better. So everything stems from this. A lot of people are dehydrated and hey, I drink more water, but then I pee more. Of course, there's nothing to hold on to that water. So that's where salt comes in again. Now, you can talk about what about the other salts? Well, like a regular table salt, like Morton's table salt, has 40% sodium chloride. What's the other 60%? It's like nobody knows. So I finally found out. Half of it is sand, the other half is silica. Silica is like glass, like microscopic glass particles. When you consume that salt, the salt obviously uh, is just goes into the water and it's gone, right? But and in the bloodstream, the the sand and the silica they don't disappear, right? They're not water soluble. So imagine that silica going through your blood vessels and scratching around like this. And then what happens with that wound or those wounds, those scratches? They have to be fixed. So the body sends cholesterol to fix it. So nicely smooths it out with cholesterol. But now the more and more of the salt you consume, the more of the scratches happen, more cholesterol has to pile up, add to it a little bit calcium, and you have a nice combination for shutting down your blood vessels. It's that simple. It's not the cholesterol's problem. Cholesterol is good for us. Our brain is cholesterol. So a lot of the directions in modern medicine are wrong. Many of them came out of misconceptions, same with salt. But then, of course, you have the other salts, which again, you have to look at basically just the ingredients and basically just the sodium chloride, how much there is. If it's less than 97%, then forget about it. even Himalayan salt, which everybody was pushing for a very long time. Now they found mercury in it, but before then, it can be up to 30% potassium chloride. Way, way, way too much. Celtic sea salt, great, a lot of minerals and such. But what sea is it's coming from? Which sea is not polluted nowadays? Which sea doesn't have microplastics? The sea salt has to be collected as the water evaporates. Then, that area is where the sea washed out the trash as well. That's where the seagulls poop. So you have to clean and bleach that salt. It's a different process. I use a salt from Bosnia called Tuzla, Tuzla. It has 99.7% pure sodium chloride. And they mine this salt, like literally comes out in blocks that you have to break down. And so that's the one on salt. And if you do the hydration well, and if you have this kind of salt in your system, I mean, I actually drink water with salt in it. I don't think I had water without salt in it for the last 5 years. So a little bit more than what you would put under your tongue, but I salt up my water well, with salt shaker, or before bedtime, a quarter teaspoon of salt in a glass of water. Same thing after waking up, replenish the water that you lost at night. It's all through breathing. It's not just through urination. You can drop a whole pound just by sleeping, or even more if you're a big guy.
100%. So, Tom, if you're still tuning in, he says loneliness is deadly and that he's having a hard time with the whole you create your whole reality paradigm. Forces me to try to solve everything silently inside and thus never reacting, defend myself, setting healthy boundaries.
Well, loneliness is pretty tough unless you're the type. We're social beings. We need to be among other people. We need the tribe. We need some kind of a social activity to feel alive, really.
Hmm.
If you're the creative type and you want to go into a dungeon and write a book, that's great. But sooner or later, before and after, you will want some kind of a social connection. It's a healthy thing to do.
100%. I'm just sometimes I feel like just saying like I am connected, like knowing you're connected to source, divine, whatever you want to call it, that really helps with the loneliness. I know myself, I'm kind of a hermit. I like to be alone, but I'm never really physically alone because in the subtle field there's all kinds of spirits there, whether it's for example, my little Wedame, Sir Didymus, is in the heavenly palace, and I can just kind of tune into him. Even though he's not in the physical embodiment, he's in the subtle field. So I can still tune into his energy frequency and connect that way. So I never see myself as always being alone, even though I may appear alone, if that makes sense.
Mhm. I get that. Um, I mean, you can even communicate with other beings, or whatever your kick is. However, I think you just need the presence of others sooner or later in your life. It's a good lesson always to go to Europe, especially to the Balkans. My mom still lives in Serbia, and we go there. And not just Serbia, but Croatia, Bosnia, Slovenia, all of these Balkans countries have stronger community life. Not necessarily like, oh, we're all getting together or so, but you can be, I would be going for a bread at 8:30 in the morning or 9 o'clock to the bakery, which is very short distance away, there would be people already inviting me for coffee over at the surrounding cafes and such. There's no hurry in their lives, and there's everything is shared in a way. So something happens to you, whether good or bad, you're sharing it with somebody quite soon after the event. And so this sharing kind of smooths out the energy between people and your own energy. So if you were very upset and you run into a friend, that level of upset will already go down, whether by seeing them or by just communicating with them. Kind of like having your therapist without paying them. You know, it costs you coffee or so, or something harder.
Community and connection, definitely. Conversation, for sure. Absolutely.
Yes. And of course, we know that love is the strongest healing power. So as long as you feel love and loved, you have that positive energy. Your serotonin level is higher. Your entire energy field is stronger and wider. When I teach the seminar, when we learn to see the energy, we simulate changes in the field by changing our minds, our thoughts. So you can make your energy like really small by thinking of the worst day of your life, for instance.
Mm.
But the same way, when you think of the best time of your life, the best day, or total happiness, your energy grows. It goes much wider than it would normally be at. So that also shows a physical change in your entire energy as your thoughts change. So the bottom line, you have to watch what you eat, of course. You have to uh, watch what you drink. You have to exercise. Everything makes sense, explained many times over. But really, it's that instant that you change your mind is where everything happens. So if your thoughts are negative, your energy will be much weaker. You're more exposed, you're more vulnerable, your immune system is lower. Anytime you're happy, anytime you're in love, anytime you're in these accelerated feelings, then your energy is much wider than normal. And your immune system is much, much bigger. Kind of thinking of the spaceship Enterprise, when their shield is strong, then the attacks are avoided and such.
I love that. That's awesome. Is there anything else you want to share with my audience today?
Yes, they can all, if they can't come to the Alps for some reason, which they can always check on my site when the next seminar of such magnitude is on. Everybody can learn this either by reading my book or checking out my online school. It comprises of 7 videos that teach you step by step everything, how to become a healer, how to become a bioenergy healer. It also has special effects in it, so you can kind of see what to expect when you're seeing the energy or when you're working and manipulating with it, and then you see which way it reacts.
100%. Well, you've been a treasure as always, even though we had our hiccups. Be sure to tune into our podcast episode, The Season of the Witches. I did put it in the show notes for those of you tuning in.
Mhm.
And yeah, I'll have Conger on again, as always. And I think we should make an adventure to the Alps soon this summer,
Absolutely.
huh?
Or we'll do a live podcast from there next time.
There you go. Cool. Well, thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So, for those of you that want to stay on and have a mini cowrie shell divination as I mess with my screen here, we will get rid of that. I know I'm looking great. What am I got going on here? Oh, there I am. I almost look naked. Just kidding. Here we go. There we go. As always, it's a fantastic Friday, and coming up tomorrow live, if you want to join me in my online studio for Gift and Purpose, tomorrow at 1 p.m., I'll be talking about the elementals, numerology, astrology, and all the things and related to you. There's an amazing grimoire you can journal in and really connect with yourself for that. And as far as the live show, let's get this out of the way. And as always, those of you tuning in, if you want a little mini cowrie shell divination, this is one of the tools I use to speak to the other world on your behalf and seek a message if you're curious with that. Just remember, all you got to do is comment your name. Not so much your name, because I can see that. The year you're born and the month for a deeper session. And then I'll move the shells on your behalf. I'll call in your spirit team, my spirit team, and do a collaboration. And go from there. If anyone is ready for a little mini divination. You've already had 2. So Tom, did you do your rituals? Because that's key, is the practice. The prescriptions are rituals, and if you don't do them, then you kind of get stuck in the same soup bowl. So I hope you have been doing them. Or there's other rituals you can do that I really don't talk about on my live show as well. Because I don't want to freak people out too much, to be honest, as well. So if you're anybody tuning in wants a little mini cowrie shell divination, just be sure to comment in the show notes. Not enough. You told me to go to water. Absolutely. Water to get you into the flow. You probably need to go back to water, I suggest. Especially in the season of metal or mineral, and also get salt. Like he said, we don't eat enough salt. I was just thinking about the Himalayan salt. I've been literally on a diet lately of tomatoes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner because I've harvested so many and I really don't want to let them go to waste. So that's kind of what I've been doing. So if nobody wants to tune in and have the shells moved on your behalf, as always, I do have my, good Lord, I got too many opportunities here. There I go. Let's switch this out. My affirmation for this week is I innovate my desires to match my daily love frequency. So yeah, that's our mystic message for the highway. Actually, I think this was last week's. I must not have updated. No, this is this week's. What am I saying? I'm ahead of the timeline. So thanks for tuning in, and I'm grateful you were drinking the Celtic sea salt. That's awesome. I do have that as well, but like Csongor said, different salts and what we've done to the waters, the oceans, the seas. There's a lot of debris, and when we ingest that, you know, it's pretty fascinating. But it's all about baby steps and the foundation as well. So again, thanks for tuning in. I'm a little later today for the live show, but as always, be sure to tune in to Gift and Purpose tomorrow. I'm sure I will wow your world, which is one of my favorite things to do, to open your eyes to a whole different perspective and how to really work with the elementals, numbers, water, fire, air, all the things for energetic balance, basically. So with that, thanks for tuning in. And as always, I'll see you on the other side. Blessings.